Okay, so marijuana is legal. What do we think? Are we excited, concerned? What do you think?
Well, I'm visiting from South Africa, and I think it's a great move to make marijuana legal. I think it's something that most other countries should follow through on. So, well done to Canada for being this progressive.
Happy. It was about time. I think legalizing it is a good thing.
I think it's just a step in the right direction. I mean, people were already doing it.
People were using it a lot before it was legal, so I think if anything, it'll make it safer.
Are you celebrating tonight?
No. No.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, give it a try. That's it, and see how it goes.
Are you saying you're going to give it a try?
I mean, Canada's giving it a try, right?
I mean, probably not today, but I'm sure I would in the future.
Just happy. Just do the same with cocaine.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to Backbenchers, your bi-weekly snapshot of Canadian politics. I'm Mohammed Omar.
I'm Ryan Maloney, and I can't believe that they've given us a second season.
Yeah, for some reason the bigwigs at the top saw our first season and said the world needs more of this. Wrong again, bigwigs.
Huge mistake. Now, so much has happened in Canadian politics, too much for us to really get into in detail. So this is your rundown.
Let's listen up so we can get through this.
An alarming climate report from the UN sparked an emergency debate in the House of Commons. The debate got extremely overheated, kind of like our doomed planet.
The United States, Canada, and Mexico struck a trade deal to replace NAFTA. They're calling it the USMCA. And if you're worried about how to pronounce it, it's whatever the hell Trump wants.
I thought it was USMCA.
USMCA.
USMCA. Well, if those stories are bringing you down, guess what? Pot is now legal.
Yes, congratulations. As of October 17, 2018, Canadians can consume marijuana recreationally without fear of criminal penalty, ending nearly 100 years of prohibition and sparking 100 years of good times.
And depending on where you live, you can buy pot from private stores or from the government. Or if buying weed from the government is a little bit weird, you can buy it online.
If you're of age, you can carry up to 30 grams of pot in public and share up to 30 grams with your other adult friends.
And if you have a green thumb, you can also grow up to 4 plants at home. So beat it, begonias. The Canadian garden's about to get a whole lot grassier.
It's a big deal. And Justin Trudeau will forever be remembered as the Prime Minister who made the Great White North green.
But in some ways, it's a little bit unusual that he was the person to do this in the first place.
That's right, Mo. Let's take a little stroll down Mary Jane Lane. Legal pot is now a big part of Trudeau's legacy, but it might surprise you to know that he once saw things quite differently. In 2009, then a rookie MP with rock and roll hair, he voted in favor of mandatory minimum sentences for pot production, 6 months in jail for growing 6 plants. At the same time, Canada was spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year upholding a ban while the black market was thriving. In 2010, he told Maclean's magazine he couldn't even support decriminalization because marijuana is a lot stronger than it used to be. 2 years later, Liberal delegates overwhelmingly voted to support legalization, but Trudeau still wasn't on board.
I don't know that it's entirely consistent with the kind of society we're trying to build.
Hey, remember when he had a mustache? A year later, the mustache was gone, and so too were the pot fears that he apparently housed within it. He won the Liberal leadership, and out west that summer, breathing in that fresh BC air, he mellowed out even more.
I'm actually not in favor of decriminalizing cannabis. I'm in favor of legalizing it, tax and regulate.
So HuffPost Canada asked Trudeau if he'd ever smoked pot, and he said he had, including after he became an MP.
I think 5 or 6 times in my life that I've taken a puff. It's not my thing.
Conservatives blasted him as a hypocrite for flouting the law while voting for tougher penalties. Flash forward to 2015. Prime Minister Trudeau is again called a hypocrite, this time from the NDP, for refusing to decriminalize marijuana right away so that Canadians would stop getting criminal records for something that would soon be legal.
My question to the Prime Minister, does he think he would be where he is today if he had been caught when smoking marijuana?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
So this is the big question of the Trudeau pot saga. What will he do about all those Canadians who have criminal records because they were caught doing exactly what he did?
And now we're learning the Liberals want to make it easier for anyone with a minor pot conviction to get a pardon.
Yeah, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a long process, which is why many were wondering why this government was still charging people for something that would soon be legal.
Exactly. So before legalization, we tossed this question to Nathaniel Erskine-Smith. He's a Liberal MP in Toronto who wants to reframe how Canadians view drugs in general. We spoke outside his beautiful house on the beach. It was about 8 degrees, and he was wearing flip-flops. So I was going to start off by asking you, have you ever smoked weed? You've definitely smoked weed. But I'm going to ask you, when pot is legal, will you be smoking more?
No.
The NDP has called on the government to decriminalize marijuana before legalizing it. You've supported this idea. Why do you think the government didn't support this idea?
Yeah, the government's position was the law is the law is the law. And unfortunately, what we saw is tens of thousands of Canadians charged with low-level possession in the interim, which is, in my view, unacceptable. And I think decriminalization in the interim would have been a half measure, but certainly better than no measure at all.
Another lingering question on legal pot has to do with edibles. They won't be legal until next year, and that's something NDP MP Don Davies thinks is pointless. So I reached out to him over Skype to learn more.
One thing I'm going to be pressing the government to do is to, as quickly as possible, bring in a sensible regulatory regime for those products, because they're being ingested now. We know what to do. Edibles have to be not marketed to children. They have to be put in single-serving containers. They've got to be carefully labeled. So there's no reason not to do it.
There's been some worry that Canadians who've admitted to smoking weed or who work in legal cannabis could get lifetime bans from the US. What do you think about that?
It's an untenable situation for Canadians. What do you do when you go to the border? If you tell the truth for doing a legal act, you risk being barred entry, maybe for life. And if you lie, you're also in violation of your obligations at the border. So the Canadian government, the Trudeau government, has not achieved any kind of clarity or agreement with the US government, nor have they put, I think, a real effort into it.
In most instances, you're not going to have people ask the question of whether they smoke pot. I think it's going to be less and less of an issue going forward because we see so many jurisdictions in the United States moving towards legalization as well. Haven't turned my mind too much to what more we can do because fundamentally it's a decision of the United States.
After getting through the boring, superficial questions, it was time to get down to the juicy stuff. Okay, vaping or toking?
Vaping.
Brownies or bongs?
Neither really, but bongs if I had to choose, I guess.
With pot legalized, do you think question period will be more mellow? Chill, maybe?
It very well could be. It very well could be. It's going to be easy to tell, as well as we'll see how many, if that increases the cheesy consumption in the lobbies.
I wish, but no.
No, it's not going to help?
I don't think so.
We need some stronger drugs for question period.
Yeah, that's right.
It's clear that these two MPs agree that legalization is a process. There's more work to be done. I guess what I'm trying to say is, it's no day at the beach.
Now, Conservatives oppose legalization, and the debate over the last few years took us to some unusual places.
Does she not agree that that will put cannabis in the hands of the youth, and in fact they will probably become the drug mules at the school?
It's virtually the same as putting fentanyl on a shelf. Having plants in the homes is just as wacky.
Maybe arrange to photobomb a bunch of people toking up and maybe get his PR experts to create a hashtag and call it a photobong.
Just imagine all of them having a little bit of smoke or a little toke.
Whether we're calling it weed or doobies or blunts or all of those other words that we've heard of reefers.
But there is one Conservative MP who did vote for this change, Ontario MP Scott Reid. We caught up with him in his Parliament Hill office to ask why.
And as you can tell, his favorite dispensary is the bookshelf.
Well, I've always believed that it's unreasonable to have victimless crimes, to have people arrested and punished for doing something that's not being done to anybody else. They're doing it to themselves. Obviously, if you look at tobacco, smoking cigarettes, that's enormously unhealthy. But it would be wrong and disastrous from a public policy point of view to make the consumption of tobacco unlawful. So instead, we try other things to nudge them in a safer direction. And I think the same approach applies to marijuana.
So he's actually been advocating for this change since 2001 and says he's always been treated respectfully by his fellow Conservatives. But his position had us wondering, has Scott tried pot?
I get asked all the time. No, I've never consumed an illegal substance. I did drink a little bit underage alcohol. I've never had a contact buzz either, although I have obviously smelled pot, and like anybody else I can recognize the distinctive odor. Nobody used the word edibles back when I was a young rebel, but I didn't do that either. Yeah, what can I say? I'm almost embarrassed by that answer, but yeah.
Okay, so are you willing to try it now that it's legal, just to see what the fuss is about?
Maybe on an evening when we're at home and I'm not planning on driving anywhere.
Ooh, party at Scott Reid's house?
I'll bring the cookies. Normal cookies. Edibles aren't legal yet. Well, that's our show. Thank you for watching. We'll leave you now with more of my chat with MP Nathaniel Erskine-Smith, which somehow turned into a pot-themed music quiz.
You want some of these cookies, man?
Yeah, let's do it. Hey, 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 smoke weed every day.
So Snoop Dogg.
That is correct.
Smoke weed every day.
One toke over the line, sweet Jesus. One toke over the line. Sitting downtown in a railway station, one toke over the line.
Yeah, I should know this. I do know this.
Brewer and Shipley.
Fuck, I wouldn't have got that. Okay.
This is it's a doozy, but I think you can get this one.
I doubt it.
Here we go. I want to protest an ill-thought-out bill that is passing through Parliament here on the Hill.
Okay, yeah, please stop.
Let me finish, Nate, please.
Oh, fine.
The bill that is bad is called C-45. It has so many flaws, it just shouldn't survive. Who used these lyrics?
So that was Maryland, and that was a disaster.
Conservative MP Marilyn Gladue. Why was it a disaster?
Full of misinformation, but also just a poorly written poem.
This has been your pot poem critiques with Nathaniel Erskine-Smith.